have one more story for you, and then we will head into call-in. Well, let's start with the good news first. The good news is this. I don't know if you guys are aware, but for those of you that are in New York City, December 7th. So it appears that Cornel West and Norm Finkelstein are actually teaming up here, at least for this appearance in New York at the Comedy Cellar. So we're going to start with the good news about Cornel West's campaign, and then we're going to get into this hit piece that came out from Forbes. So Cornel West tweeted, "I will be in conversation with my dear brother, the courageous scholar Norm Finkelstein, on December 7th at 5 p.m. at the Comedy Cellar. Very limited capacity, but we hope to see you there. Tickets, you can find them there, and you can also scan the QR code." So there it is. It says, "The Comedy Cellar at Village Underground presents West and Finkelstein in conversation, December 7th, 5 p.m., 130 West 3rd Street, NYC." So for those of you that are in the area and want to check that out, have at it. That should actually be a good discussion, those two together. That's the good news. However, it appears that there is another hit piece out about Cornel West. They're still focusing on Cornel West's finances. So they're still trying to use the fact that they're saying he didn't pay his taxes or file his taxes. Cornel West addressed that on my show and other shows as well. But now they're trying to claim that he's broke because he spent all his money on women. They're out here now trying to paint Cornel West out like he was a gigolo. Listen to this. Why Cornel West is broke. Boy, I tell you, this is a doozy. Newly uncovered divorce filings reveal allegations of a secret life and helped explain why the presidential candidate, who has earned millions of dollars over the years, has hardly anything left. Cornel West has been a fixture of American society for more than 3 decades, publishing books, teaching at Ivy League institutions, commenting on cable news, collaborating on music with Prince, even popping up in sequels to The Matrix. He goes on to say, West has earned an estimated $15 million or so over the last 30 years. But oddly, as he mounts an independent run for president, his net worth resembles that of a first-year adjunct professor. "I live paycheck to paycheck," says West. So I just want to define net worth here for those who, might be thinking this is like income. Net worth is different from income. Income is obviously what you earn. That's your hourly pay or your salary, your take home, right? That's your income. But your net worth is what you own minus what you owe. That's important to remember. So you can have a large salary, but if you don't own much, you may have a low net worth. Or you can have a large salary and maybe you do own something, but if you owe more than what you own, let's say you have a lot of student loan debts, then you can have a low net worth. A review of federal filings and property records confirmed that West's net worth is near zero. Other outlets have previously reported on his troubles paying taxes over the years, but no one so far has explained how someone so successful became so broke. So that in itself, again, what does that have to do with his run for president? With West in position to affect who becomes America's next president, Forbes set out to answer that question. West burst onto the national scene in the 1990s with Race Matters, a compilation of essays that sold more than 500,000 copies. He traveled the country to deliver speeches, hauling in more than $500,000 a year. Much of the money flowed to him with no taxes deducted. West blew it on many things, especially women, leaving little left for Uncle Sam by the time tax season arrived. So here they are, I guess, trying to paint Cornel West to be a gigolo. Let's continue. The liens piled up $144,000 in 1998, $105,000 in 2000, $205,000 in 2001, and so on. Almost like a reptile biting its tail, he says now. West lived in a Four Seasons condo in Boston, which he later admitted he could not afford, and rode around in a Mercedes or a Cadillac. First of all, Eric, peep this game. Do we have a Four Seasons in Boston? I don't think we do. Maybe this is a long time ago. Eric, if you can Google that, let me know if we still have a Four Seasons here. Okie doke, let me continue. One of his 4 ex-wives accused West of maintaining a covert apartment in Boston for $5,000 a month to use as a love den. This is too funny. To use as a love den. I kid you not, guys. She also alleged that despite not having any health conditions, he later took a medical leave from his job at Harvard to live a secret life with another woman in New Mexico. So apparently, okay, thank you, Eric. Eric says there is a Four Seasons. I'm not familiar with it. So apparently they're saying that Dr. West had a secret life with another woman, yada, yada. Okay. I just don't understand what that has to do with his run for president. So he was married, whatever it is, what it is. What does that have to do with his policy positions? Let's continue. In court documents filed in 2002 and 2003, West did not deny burning money on affairs, at least one of which produced a child. He acknowledged he had an 18-month-old daughter at the time. Well, let's make a comparison here, folks. And I don't know if this is true, just FYI. But let's say it was. Who else had affairs? Name a president who didn't have affairs. I'm thinking about it. Donald Trump had affairs. Joe Biden had affairs. RFK Jr. had affairs in the past. I know he straightened out his life, but he was a ladies' man in the past, right? JFK had affairs. So it's weird that they're using this as like a smear, because to me, it's just like, okay, again, I don't know if this is true, but if it were true, why are they acting like, boy, I tell you. And in his 2009 memoir, Brother West, Living and Loving Out Loud, West confirms some of the less salacious details. But when asked in November to respond to claims he'd hid or wasted close to $1 million, at least some of which went to support extramarital affairs, West offered via email that the allegations were too ridiculous to attend to then and now, my brother. He did not respond to a follow-up inquiry that detailed his ex-wife's specific allegations. He responded to them on this show. You can go back and watch that interview where he explained all of this. In 2002, he blamed his financial troubles on other factors, such as his soon-to-be ex-wife, propensity to spend money on Chanel clothing, upscale dining, and antique furniture. More recently, after news about his tax lien surfaced, West elaborated on the genesis of his debt problems, suggesting the student loans he incurred as an undergraduate put him in a black hole that he could never escape. I could see how that could happen, especially considering, Cornel West went to prestigious universities. I could see how that happens. That still happens to people today. It goes on to say that's nonsense. After 3 decades in the public eye, West has earned more than enough money to pay back his student loans. Without enormous earnings, West would not owe the federal government so much in unpaid taxes. He still has about $483,000 in outstanding tax liens today. But remember, I told you guys about this piece, and Cornel West did address that as well when he came onto the show. Just because you owe taxes doesn't mean that you don't have a payment plan set up in place to pay those taxes off. So that's important for people to understand. Just like, for example, I have student loan debt. I owe student loans, but I still pay my student loans every month. You see what I'm saying? But obviously, if you look it up, it's still going to show you that I still owe, but that doesn't mean I'm not paying on them. The real explanation for West's financial problems, recklessness. Despite his professorial appearance, West is famous for his toothy smile and W.E.B. Du Bois inspired 3-piece suits. He has spent and lived wildly, impregnating and abandoning multiple women. Let me highlight this part. This is a stereotype about Black men. Would they use this against any of the white male candidates? Impregnating and abandoning multiple women. Because last time I checked, if you get a divorce, just because you have a child with someone doesn't mean you have to stay in a relationship with them. So pay attention to what they're doing here. Leaving him with significant divorce and child support payments, some of which he failed to pay. Divorce and child support payments, some of which he failed to pay. He addressed that on my show. He said he's made all of these payments, but also I want to add too, they say this as if no man in this country has to pay child support. If government leadership is largely about managing money and maintaining relationships, it's hard to imagine anyone else in the field who is less prepared for the job than Cornel West. Honey, the Pentagon can't pass an audit. The Pentagon can't pass a freaking audit, son. You get me? West was born in Tulsa and raised in Sacramento by parents who had middle-class jobs, his mom as an elementary school teacher and his dad as a civilian Air Force contractor. At 17, West got a partial scholarship to Harvard. Keyword there, partial, meaning he didn't get a full ride. To cover the rest of his tuition, he got assistance from his parents, worked by cleaning toilets and delivering mail, and took out loans, he wrote in his memoir. Wary of accumulating more debt, he raced through Harvard in 3 years. See, this is what they should be focusing on, right? The fact that someone was able to graduate from Harvard in 3 years, from Harvard University. No, instead, they're focusing on the fact that they feel like Dr. West is broke and basically trying to call him a bad dad, using the Black man trope. Then in 1973, at age 20, he headed down to the East Coast of Princeton on a full scholarship to work on his doctorate in philosophy. At first, everything seemed to be going smoothly. In 1977, when he was just 23, West got married for the first time, became a father, and started teaching at New York City Union Theological Seminary, an affiliate of Columbia University. Then life took a turn. In 1979, West published one of his first works, an essay on embedding Marxist ideology into Black theology, and filed for divorce from his wife in Reno, Nevada, writing years later in his memoir that she needed more stability than his intellectual wanderings could offer. The divorce decree stipulated that West had to pay child support of $320 a month and 15% of his income in excess of $15,000 until his son became an adult. West's share of the settlement, a stereo, albums, and a couple of studio chairs. In my head, I keep hearing Johnny Taylor singing about "It'd be cheaper to keep her," West wrote in his memoir. He claimed that the settlement and his poor financial planning abilities left him sleeping in Central Park for a couple of nights. He was in love again soon, marrying for a second time in 1981. 5 years into that union, he met the woman who would become his third wife in New Haven, Connecticut, when she served him a hamburger as he read Hegel in the restaurant of a Holiday Inn. According to his memoir, West proposed to the 27-year-old on their first date. "Alini, marry me and become the first lady of Black America." That line didn't work at first, but the time they actually did wed 5 years later in 1991. Alini had changed jobs and was working for the state of Maryland as a counselor for autistic adults. West convinced her to quit her job and delay plans to attend grad school so that she could travel with him, she later claimed. Okay, so long story short, he married people. Some of these marriages didn't work out. He got divorced. So he admits that he wasn't the best with financial planning back in the day. That's not uncommon. Some people just aren't earlier on in their adulthood. I feel like this piece, I wanted to share this with you because I felt like they were reaching. They were reaching. Now they said here, oh, my camera's like foggy. There we go. They said here, they're showing you his earnings, what's left for West. So it says, lavish spending has wiped almost all of it away, leaving Cornel West with only 2 assets, a retirement account with about $280,000 in it, and a partial share of a Princeton home. Combined, they appear to be worth little more than the debts he owes. So they show this graph here. Blue is the home in Princeton, and black is the retirement savings account. And my whole thing is this part here. It says, but lavish spending has wiped almost all of it away, leaving Cornel West with only this part, only 2 assets, a retirement account and a partial share of a Princeton home. I just want to say something really quick here. Oh, that's my computer. That's not me. Oh, I put something on the screen. Okay, sorry. I just want to say something here. Only 2 assets. Honey, where my family comes from, most people don't have any assets. The way that they say it, like only 2. My parents are from Baltimore, Maryland. My parents are from the hood, okay? Now, my dad joined the military. That actually gave me the opportunity to grow up in different places. So I don't have the same experience that my parents did when they were growing up. But my extended family, most of the people in my family don't have any assets. So what? The way they talk, again, this is Forbes, so keep this in mind. The way they say this as if 2 assets, just only 2, like that's a bad thing. When I know people that don't have any. I don't know why it's fuzzy. I think it's the light. Hold on. Try it again. Okay. Yeah, I thought that was the lighting. Anyway, I put something on the screen. There's something stuck on my screen. Anyway, soon he had many places to be. LA police officers beat Rodney King in the streets in 1991, sparking riots and a national conversation about race. The year after the riots, West released his most celebrated book, Race Matters. And then they go on to say that his speeches were lucrative. West's annual salary at Harvard was around $220,000, but he was able to at least double that amount on the lecture circuit over an 18-day stretch, yada, yada, yada. What I didn't like about this is I felt that they were trying to basically, it just, to me, this is something that Dr. West did admit when he was on my show last time. He said, like, yes, he made some bad financial decisions in the past. And what I don't like is I feel like they couldn't find anything else on him. So they figure, let's go after his finances and basically say that a black man didn't know how to manage money. Oh, and by the way, he impregnated a lot of women. But this isn't it. This isn't the last smear. And there will be more.